Please have the quick application in front of you before contacting the potential borrower for a pre-application. You'll want to start by putting today's date, the borrower's name, social security number, date of birth, whether this is a refinance or a purchase, their marital status, whether that's single, married, or divorced, how many children they have, and what are their ages. If there is a spouse, then you would want to put the co-borrower's information. Please note that only a spouse may be a co-borrower. If you have two borrowers who are not married, then you would have two separate borrowers. You would want to get their social security number and date of birth as well. You want to get the address of their current property, where they are living now. You need a 2-year history. So if they've been at their current address less than 2 years, then you would want to add any other addresses on a separate sheet of paper, notating up to 2-year history. The OO stands for owner occupied, and the NOO stands for non-owner occupied. So whether they own the house or if they're just renting. You want to know how long they've been there, what the purchase price was, and when it was built. The subject property address may be the same as their current address if this is a refinance. If this is a purchase, then that address would be different. You would want to also find out if this property that they're purchasing is going to be their primary residence, which would be the owner occupied. You'd want to circle OO, or whether this is going to be non-owner occupied, meaning they're buying it as an investment property, and you would want to circle the NOO. Again, how long, what the purchase price is, and when it was built. Any other property that the current clients or potential borrowers own would need to be listed on a separate sheet of paper. So any additional REO, which stands for real estate owned, should be listed on a separate page. You want to get all the contact information, telephone numbers, home number, cell phone, work, email, when the best time to contact them is, and if they have any additional contact information. The employment information, you'll need to know where the primary borrower works, get the address of his employer, how long he's been there, what he believes his gross income is, which is what his income is before taxes, so you want to clarify that. You want to get the number of his human resources department, or the main number for his employer, and the name of his supervisor if possible, and what it is the borrower does. Again, you would want to get that same information for the co-borrower. If this is a second borrower, again, you would still need to get that same information. Again, you need a 2-year work history. So if they haven't been at their job for at least 2 years, then you would need to get their previous employers until you've put together a history of up to 2 years, and you can list that on a separate page as well. You would also want to find out if they have any other sources of income. For instance, if they're receiving child support, you'd also want to know whether they're paying child support, alimony, Social Security, disability, or any other type of income, which might be an annuity or a second job. You'll want to find out if they are refinancing and they currently have a mortgage, who that first mortgage is with, how much the payment is, principal and interest, whether they're escrowing, meaning that they pay their taxes and insurance with their payment, possibly the interest rate, and how long they've had the loan. You'll also want to know if they have a second mortgage or any additional liens on the property. Then you want to find out their assets, whether they have a checking account, a savings account, retirement, 401k, stocks, bonds, and what the general balance is in those accounts. You may also want to ask if they have any other liabilities, for instance, car payment, installment loans, credit card debt. You would want to put the amounts of those liabilities on a monthly basis here. Then you would want to go through a series of questions that's listed specifically on the loan application, and you can just go through A through M exactly as it is here. Do they have any outstanding judgments against them? Have they declared bankruptcy in the last 7 years? Have they been foreclosed on or done a deed in lieu in the last 7 years? Have they had any lawsuits? Are they part of a foreclosure? Have they been delinquent on any federal debt or any other loan, specifically mortgages? Are they obligated to pay alimony, child support, or separate maintenance? Is any part of the down payment, if this is a purchase, borrowed? Are they a co-signer on any note? Make sure that they are a U.S. citizen. If they're not a U.S. citizen, you want to make sure that they're a permanent resident alien, that this property is going to be their primary. If not, you would want to mark that no. And if they currently own real estate, then you would mark this yes. And what type of property do they own? PR stands for principal, SH stands for second home, and IP stands for investment property. How did you hold title? Solely with a spouse or other. This is a list of documents that they will need to submit. They'll need two forms of identification. We need one form of identification with a photo, and then we also need a copy of their Social Security card. The assets that they reported in your previous inquiry, you'll need to get copies of the checking account, savings account, retirement, money market, or any other types of assets that they stated. We would need 2 months of these asset accounts. For income, you want to get their 2 most recent pay stubs, their 2 years most recent W-2s, 2 years most recent tax return. You want to make sure that they send you all schedules that are referenced in the 1040. If they are self-employed, they would either have a Schedule C on their personal tax return or with a business license, or they may have a corporation, and then they would need to also send us their business tax returns. We would need 2 years of those as well. If they stated they had any fixed income, Social Security, disability, we would need the award letter and the proof of direct deposit or a copy of those checks. Typically, Social Security or Social Security disability would be direct deposited, and they would be able to provide that in a copy of their checking account, which they may already be submitting. If they are receiving separate retirement or pension, we would need a copy of that statement. And of course, if there's child supported alimony, we would need their dissolution of marriage or custody agreement. Any of the real estate that they state that they currently own, we would need recent mortgage statements for all properties, recent homeowners insurance declaration pages for all properties, the survey for the subject property, meaning if they're purchasing a property or refinancing, the owner's title policy for the subject property if they are refinancing, lease agreements for all rental properties if they are currently own properties that they are renting out. We also need to get a sign and date of borrower's signature authorization, which we will send to them, and if they had a bankruptcy, proof of their bankruptcy discharge. Just make sure that all documents they send must include all pages. For instance, with the bank account statement, sometimes pages, there it says pages 1 through 6. Pages 5 and 6 may be blank or may just be general documents from the bank. We still would need those pages. Anytime a page or a schedule or a document is referenced, we need to make sure all those pages are included. Once you've completed the quick application, you will want to go to LeadMailbox. You will be given a login and a password. When you get to LeadMailbox, once you've logged in, the screen will look like this. It's LeadMailbox.com. You'll want to go to the Leads tab, and you'll want to find the specific borrower that you just took the pre-application for. You can search by looking at all names. You can search by looking for all names, or you can start typing in the name and hit search, and that name will come up for you. You want to click on that particular borrower, and you want to fill in any information that you just recently obtained and fill it in here. You'll also want to go to the Tracking and Notes tab, and here you'll want to change the status. If you have taken the pre-application, then you'll want to, and told them the list of documents that they're going to be submitting, you'll want to move them to the docking center. So this would be whether it's a purchase or if it's a refinance. You click that here, and you can make any additional notes here in this section. You'll click on the notes, click to add a note, and then you can type in any additional notes that need to go here. You would click Save and Close, and then the pre-application process is complete.